is the Mississippi River. This is the part that I do not like. This is also the edge of Tennessee, leaving Tennessee, entering Arkansas. Wanted to show some of Arizona. A lot of California looks like this too, just desert, mountains. Take this off for a second. Desert and mountains. What about over here? Oh, desert and mountains. It's cool though. This is one of those roads I always talk about where it's just straight. Coming over this little mountain right now, heading toward the other one. And it's as far as you can see, this road is straight all the way to that other mountain. And I can't remember how long that is. It's a few miles. Take note, North Carolina, it makes straight roads, not all these twisty, turny, curvy spaghetti garbage. Straight. It might be hard to see, but in between these trees, there's like rocks on the ground. They're black. And the mountains are black. And on the ground, in between all these trees, you'll see like, it looks like rocks. Well, what that is a long time ago, Mammoth Mountain, which is a very popular ski resort in Northern California, it's a volcano, and it exploded one time, and that's actually lava all the way down here. And that's why over there on the left, that mountain coming up, the closest one, it's black. That's lava. It almost looks like as if all the plants on that little mountain caught fire, and it's kind of how I describe it, what it looks like, but it's not. No matter which way you come into California from, oh, Colorado River, you got to go through this thing right here. They're going to ask for like fruits and vegetables and it's tobacco. You don't want fruit flies in here. Thank you. They usually ask for plants, tobacco, firearms, whatever. What are you bringing into the state? Unless they're just looking for Mexicans. Just wanting to show some typical traffic in LA. It's pretty typical. It's heavy, but it's moving pretty fast. I mean, everyone's pretty much doing the speed limit. They're somewhat chill. They leave plenty of space, usually between the cars, so you can move around. Other places don't do that, like Atlanta. They'll be right up on you, flying. North Carolina, they don't know how to drive. They're all over the place. They're just back and forth, back and forth. Phoenix is the same way. They're just everywhere. It's like, find your lane and just cruise and leave some space. It's not complicated. There you go, an old camper with an old car. Look at that. Well, Andrew, this is part of San Bernardino right here. This is the little 210 extension piece. It's not really the Interstate 210 yet. It's like this little piece. And this is like the top right part of San Bernardino. Most of the bigger part that you probably watch on the internet is to the left. And it's the third red Celica I've seen in like the last half hour. Driving with the mountains right to the right. And I think there's Foothill Boulevard that parallels this up here. And to the left is the more flatter part, the more popular San Bernardino part. A nice little Evo. This is pretty typical out here. The freeway's crowded, but it's moving. Sorry, dude. And so is the other side. It's pretty packed, but it's moving. Most of the time you don't just sit there like they show you on TV. Yeah, you do that certain times during the day, like in the morning going to work and coming home in the afternoon. Especially on the 405. That's what they always show on TV, the 405, like after work on a Friday. That's what you guys always see on TV, but for the most part, it's like this all the time. There's a lot right here you can't see because of the wall and stuff. To the right, nice. To the right is a place called Irwindale Speedway. I think it's paved and I think it's like a 3/8 of a mile. That would be your local stock car track. I don't know where the other one is. Somewhere down here is Santa Anita racetrack. That's for horses. I think we were trying to explain to June about the mountains and stuff. It's like you have all these different valleys in between the mountains. Like, we're going to end up going over these mountains to the left and be in a different valley. But like, we're driving here at the bottom and you're surrounded by mountains. We're going to follow this freeway. It's going to actually curve to the left, run along these mountains, like right along with them. And there's going to be a hole at the other end. As soon as we turn here, you'll see. If you look kind of to the left, we'll be facing it in a minute. It'll be hard to see on the camera. You can see where the mountains go down. It's like a little hole. We're going to go through the hole and end up in a whole different valley. There's like these different sections. And that other one's actually the cool one. That's the San Fernando Valley we're going to. That's like the valley. When they say the valley, Valley Girl, that's the valley. We're now kind of going around that mountain we just went. That was on the left. Now we're going around it to the other side. This is just the other end of the valley. This is like city of San Fernando, that area, Pacoima. All the wonderful neighborhoods. Nice little graffiti that was on the left over there. So I say, you guys think Durham's bad. Durham doesn't even have a clue. I'm actually surprised I could read these freeway signs. These are usually got tags all over them. I'm wondering if they're cleaning up stuff, because it's kind of amazing. Like up here where it says 118 West, usually that's all tagged up. All these signs, all these curbs. Like the wall that's right there on the post. Usually like the wall on the left is all tagged up. The signs, the poles. Where are we right now? I forgot half this stuff. Like Reseda area. Not quite Van Nuys-ish. Kind of a little higher. This is the 118. This goes along the top of the valley and cuts all the way across the top. The other freeway will cut across the bottom. They parallel each other. One across the top, one across the bottom. That sucks, we can't really see anything today. It's too hazy to see anything. But up here to the left, we can't see it anyways. CSUN, that's a college up here. The Northridge earthquake in the early 90s, their parking structure fell down. There was also an apartment complex over here on like DeSoto or Topanga, one of those streets, that fell down, and the whole first floor was crushed. The second, third floor were sitting on the ground. It didn't look like anything had happened. It just fell straight down. And I don't know if it crushed the people in it or not, but anyway, we're just still going across the top of the valley, and this is where we grew up. We used to pretty much run the valley. I'm sure today's generation does the same thing. Either that or they just sit at home and play video games, don't care about anything. But we'd be all over this thing. If you watch like stuff like Fast Times or the movie Valley Girl, stuff like that, it's all here. Well, Fast Times is Beverly Center, but you get the idea how people were back then. So we're on the 118 going west, and we're paralleling. We're going across the top of the valley. We're paralleling the mountains to the right. What's going to happen here is we're going to get to the edge of them. We're going to have to go through another set of mountains through the V, but we actually have to climb over this one a little bit. To the left is the actual valley, and we're going to have to go over this hill. We'll drop down into the Conejo Valley, which is where we're going. Conejo Valley is Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks. I don't know if you consider Newbury Park and those Moore Park is considered part of that same spot. I'm not sure. I'll have to cross over Topanga Canyon Boulevard. That's the equivalent of Raleigh's Capitol Boulevard. It's one of those big busy streets. And that goes all the way from the top of the valley right here all the way to the other side. All of these streets do, and they don't change names either, and they're straight. Come on, cord. Come on, cord. Stop getting stuck. Once you go over this mountain, everything's, a lot of stuff over this side is totally different. It used to be more rich people area on the other side, which still is, but a lot of the valley people started moving to this to the other side of this mountain here because it's nicer to live in, because the valley started getting really dumpy, you know, all the gangs and stuff. So then a lot of people decided they'll just move over to this side, have a nicer house, nicer area to live in, which we kind of did the same thing. I mean, we're now coming into Simi Valley, which I call the long thin valley. It's like really long and thin. Like the other valley's more like a circle, like in a bowl, like the bottom of a bowl. This one's more like a rectangle. And we're on the east side of the valley right now, heading toward the west side, and it's pretty funny because temperature-wise, like in the summertime when it's really, really hot, it'll be like 10 degrees different over on this side. And then you go over the mountain that we just came from, and the other side of that mountain is going to be even hotter. Once you get down in that bowl, it gets hot. So that's Simi right there. We'll be going across the rectangle. We're going to go from one end of the rectangle to the other. This valley's not very, I mean, well, Simi itself isn't, it's big, but it's not like big. Yeah, that makes sense. This right here, this limo says Music 96. Anything that says music on it, it's a limousine company called Music that they'll have somebody famous in that car, or a musician or somebody in there. A lot of the famous people live in these areas up here because they're not as harassed. Like where we're going is all houses. It's not really shopping and crazy people. It's very mellow, nice place to live, just relax. It's a very nice place. We used to live actually, that's funny, we used to live like right down here off this exit. We used to work down, we used to have a couple jobs in there. We're gonna exit right here and go down the street. I know my mom don't like me to do that. She likes to take there's another freeway, it kinda goes in a semicircle. I usually just get off here and cut straight down. But the street we're taking, it's gonna go over another little hill and drop down into the other valley where TO is. But that's also where the Ronald Reagan Library is, and it's actually like a museum. And Ronald Reagan is buried up there, and they have an Air Force One from his era up in there, like the whole thing, and some other things. And Nancy Reagan died recently, within the last couple months. And I'm guessing they put her there too. But I remember when Ronald Reagan died, there was like my parents live on this street, but like at the opposite end. That's where we're going. We're gonna go all the way down across this other valley. But they blocked everything off, and it was almost like a parade, like a funeral procession, going all the way up the street to bring them up there. It was actually nice. I'm sure Nancy's was nice too. And if you're ever in this area, I recommend that you go there. It's even if you're not into that stuff, it's something interesting to do. Because we lived here for so long, we never did that before. And on one of our visits for vacation, we decided to do it because, you know, when you live somewhere, you don't do the touristy things. Like, we grew up in the valley, we never went to, like, We wouldn't go to Hollywood and do all that stuff. Go to the studios. You live there. You just kind of mess around. Well, on one or two of our visits, we did that. We went and did some stuff. It was fun. Show you some other things too. It's hard to do because we're driving through the intersections. That's nice. New stuff. But you'll notice there's sidewalks, and there's actually reflectors here and lines, and these streets are pretty smooth. There's a fog line there. Look where the traffic lights are. They're on a pole, and they're on the sides of the street. So if you're behind a truck or something bigger that you can't see, you can see. So as we approach this, you can see all the way on the left across the street in the corner is one of the lights. Then you have one on the right on the corner, and then you have two in the center. So when the left turn signal goes, it's not just hanging above the lane, it's all the way there on the left as well. So you really can't mistake what color the light is from wherever you are. Also, there's people over there waiting across the street, and I'm sure they know how. There is a crosswalk there, and there's a button. You push the button that has the little arrow toward the street you want to cross, and you wait. But for some reason in North Carolina, they don't know how to cross a street. That's what you do. And if you cross against the red, you can get a ticket. It's just like running a red light. But there is actually crosswalks here, and I'll give them that. In North Carolina, sometimes they don't have crosswalks. I don't know why. They do not think about people there and other means of transportation. So like around here, you could ride a bike anywhere. You could ride a skateboard anywhere. Like those little kids right there, they got scooters. You can ride a scooter all over this entire town if you wanted to. Just cross the street, and there's the little handicap ramps. Just roll right up it, keep going down the sidewalk. That way, because we're actually going to be, this is almost like a little highway we're on. It's a busy street. But you can't just ride in the street, you'll get hit. Like where we live now in Raleigh, you can't ride your bike on the side of the street. And they ain't got no bike lanes either. They don't think about that. Anyway, this is actually still see-me, and it's very nice. The TO looks the same, but another intersection. You got the lights on the left and the right. No matter what, I knew that light was green. So even if I couldn't see past this truck in front of me, I could look to the left pole across the street or the right pole across the street. See that? You can't miss. This is the way all cities need to be made, all of them. You can't be just hanging them on strings and then the wind blows and they're facing different directions, so you have a green facing in two different directions. You got to have them mounted on a pole. Especially in a place like Raleigh when you have all that bad weather. And also the street signs. You could see, if you could, I don't know if the camera can see it from where it's at, but looking over the truck, you can see the name of the street right there hanging from the pole. And some of them in the more fancier cities, there might be some up here, those are actually in like a box with a light, and so they light up. So at nighttime, you cannot miss the street name. You know where you are all the time. Navigation is very important when you're in a car. You have to know where you are and where you need to go. Well, a lot of the places around our house in Raleigh, some of them you go up to an intersection, there's no street sign at all on any of the corners or anything. So you have no idea where you are if you're not from there. You're just kind of like looking around. Now, there's another thing they do here. I did not see it back there. Whenever you see a speed limit sign on the right, usually it's written on the ground. Oh, it's faded. It's there. They paved over it. That way, if there's a truck there, you're going to run over the speed limit, so you know how fast to go. You really can't screw up. Also, they have these. You can't do this in Raleigh because of the plows, because you have to have these recesses. But they have these big white circle dot things on the lines. So if you were to run over it, like if you fell asleep and went over the line, it'll vibrate the car to kind of like wake you up. But there's a right turn lane and a left turn lane all the time. There's no 2-lane roads around here. That's like, those should be outlawed in Raleigh. That's, you'll always be the person in front of you wants to do 20 and the person behind you wants to do 90. You can't do that. Right turn lane, left turn lane, and 2 lanes going in each direction. We'll pass these peoples. We're about to pass the Reagan Library, but you won't be able to see it. It's at the top of this mountain to the right. Like plenty of signs and navigation. That way you can't get lost. Also, the yellow fog line right here, that cannot disappear. You drive even in Cary will try. They'll put one there and then it'll disappear. It's like, what are you doing? It has to be there. And same with the median right there. It has the little reflector thing and the fog line goes around it. And sometimes in Raleigh you'll see people either hit that or they won't see it and they'll go on the opposite side of the street and be driving on the wrong way. And that's only half their fault. It's the other half is because they didn't build the city correctly. Also with all these the turn lanes, you'll see the dotted lines going, like when you turn left, if it's a double yellow, a double left turn lane or anything, you'll see the dots going in the turn. And some places in Raleigh they do that, and some places they don't. They're not very consistent with what they do. There has to be like a plan, and everything has to be the same. You know, there has to be consistency. So now there's an actual bike lane here. I don't know when it started, but that's an actual bike lane. Let's see, you can see the yellow light. 4 different places you can't miss. Cannot miss that. And you can see the dotted lines for the turn over there where the people are turning. You can also see there's no crosswalk opposite where we are, but there's 3 other ones, so no matter what you can get to wherever you need to go. You cannot cross right there. If you do, you'll get in trouble. If there's no crosswalk right there, you can't go that way. Actually in the city of TO now. To the right, if the camera picks it up, that's Moore Park to the right. That's a nice place too. This is the Ventura County Sheriff's Station. They serve TO and CME. TO and CME also have their own police, but they work together somehow. It's confusing, that part. So we're going to drop down. It probably looks just like CME anyway. But whenever you approach them, look at the big freeway signs. You cannot get lost. Like, in Raleigh, they'll put like the stupid little 440 sign, like a little one. It's like, put them bigger. They should be on both sides of the street. You should not ever question anything. Like here, you know, look at all the signs. And also the street signs on the left right here in the center is telling you what is the upcoming street. So you don't have to sit there and stare for the street sign name. You know what it is before you get there. I know in Cary, on these lights right here on the right, these telling you that there's a stoplight. I know in Cary, sometimes they put the street names on that. That's a good idea too. But they don't do it all the time. Like, there needs to be consistency. But see, we know we're at Herbs. We know the thing is green. You can't miss. You know the speed limit's 50, and sure enough, there it is right on the ground. It's a little faded, but there it is. Put everything on the ground so you can't miss. There's another little trick they do where this fire hydrant is, where the reflectors are. If you look down, that one didn't have it. Yeah, it did. Wherever there's a fire hydrant, there will be a blue reflector on the white line right there. There's a blue reflector. That way the fire department, if they enter a neighborhood or something, they can go in there and simply just look at the street, look for the blue reflector, and they know that there's a fire hydrant right there. So they don't have to search. They can see it like while they're pulling into the neighborhood. Let's see, look, signal ahead right on the floor, in case you can't see the sign. 50, is it written on the ground? Oh, that one's not written on the ground. California Lutheran University. I'm guessing that means it's a Lutheran school. And also you'll notice these are not normal crosswalks, these are yellow. Yellow means it's a school crossing. They also put that bridge up ahead from the, connects the parking lot on the left to the school, which that's what they need in Briar Creek to connect Dick's to Walmart. They need a bridge like that going over the street. There's no possible way to walk across the 70 or bike or anything. You need it. They need a pedestrian bridge. And the speed limit's on the ground.